Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwifters live broadcast of the WTRL Team Time Trialing out on the Watopia waistband for number 80. We've got thousands of racers out here. As far as the stats go, I am looking at 4,250 racers, 108 countries, and 709 teams today. We are in the Vienna category for the women, the espresso and the latte for the mixed. I'm Nathan Guerra. Dave Towle's next to me. One lap, 28 kilometers, and very flat out here today, Dave. Not a whole lot of climbing.
Yeah, you're hard pressed to find a flatter route out there, which is good for what we're doing here. Number 80. That's hard to believe, isn't it? A big shout out to all the WTRL crew. They've been working so hard as we've really ramped up the ZRL. And I have loved seeing, Nathan, the focus now. So many people who never were interested in team time trialing now are not only paying attention, they're jumping in and racing all of the different categories. As you mentioned, we're seeing outstanding numbers. So that being said, we are locked and loaded. We have three-time Olympic gold medal winner Kristen Armstrong racing with us today out of Boise, Idaho. She, legend doesn't even do justice to what Kristen Armstrong means to the sport here, not only in the United States, but the Olympic movement. She's been a world champion as well. So she's part of that 2020 team. Nathan, this could be the best race that we have witnessed in the 80 editions of WTRL. If you think about it, the Aeonian team is strong. Wonder Women, I hear. Did you tell me that they're all racing in Wonder Woman costumes out there today? We'll see if that's true or not. But I love the concept, even that we're talking about that, and it shows team unity. This team concept, community concept, really shines through here with the WTRL. That's just one good example.
Yeah, I do believe they are racing in full kit today for Halloween. So pretty cool to see. And I think as far as posters go, Wonder Women are going to have to win on the day in full costume, not only making a poster. I think you had another pick, though, too, as well, Dave. So maybe we'll have to give a shout out for that.
It.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we'll see if we can get that other pick. But I'm picking, for my pick this week, to get everyone in full costume and have pictures and then send them through. I got to give the Wonder Woman, I got to give him that for Halloween. Pretty awesome to see. And they are going for week number 3 in that leader's spot. So we'll see if they can hold on, because it's going to be a tight one, it sounds like, in the women's race. I mean, Olympic medals, those don't, they don't just hand those out to anybody, right?
No, absolutely not. That's a big difference maker for that team. Again, when you're racing in the ZRL, you'll see that the time is taken off of the third rider with smaller teams. Here we've got the full 8-rider squad. That's a good look at Cryogen. Should give a shout out to them. The women are going to get a lot of focus today. Socks for Watts is back with 2 teams as well. Of course, they're going to be in the mix. So expect an absolute Donnybrook. Only 101 meters of climbing over the nearly 28K. It's just one lap out here, pretty straight ahead. Watopia's waistband, WTRL number 80, and we are off. And a team looks like they're doing a really good job. Nathan, over the last couple of weeks, with the renewed focus in team time trialing, there's been a lot of talk about what's the fastest way to race. So many variables there. Depends on your team, depends on the course. I mean, it's a science that will constantly be looking for a faster way. It's sort of human nature, I'd say. It's Harris here showing us a strong team, a lot of Tron bikes here. So shows some experience.
Looking quickly here at the course records, R3R Lunatics are actually holding it down there with a 39:31. I'm wondering if that was set this morning, perhaps? No, it was not. WTRL Volendam there, 35:07. ATP Neon, 34:08 in the Frappes, and the Lattes Eat Dirt 2 to 39:22. And then for ATP Racing, Beryllium there at a 44:13 on this course. That's the current course records. Be on the watch out for those as we continue on throughout the broadcast out here. This is where we are going to be having all of our splits on the day. And for espressos, as they get out on course here, we are going to see their first split coming in at, at 8 kilometers, 16 kilometers, and then at the 22 kilometer mark. So those are going to be the spots that we'll be able to catch up with how people are playing, racing out there today against each other. We do see you out in chat. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. If you do want to bring some chatter, we'll try and bring the chat in as much as we possibly can, but we'll cross 3 categories. Let us know who you think's going to win in each of the categories that are out there today. And if you got any shout outs for anybody specifically. Vienna's are out on course. Sisu, I race like a girl. Sisu, dude, they were the lowest seeded on the day. First to go out on course. We'll see if they can better the result from last week. Next up will be the Wrens. As far as Espresso goes, though, looks like Dutch Diesel have started. Almost everybody's out on course. Only Pio Auto and Brat Pack. Brat Pack, be on the watch out for them. Now, interesting enough, in the Premier League on Monday, Brat Pack seemed to have really gotten their TTT down as they took second last week, as well as first this past week in the WTRL number 79 on the Thursday. But they have not shown up in the points race. So it's interesting to see how the differences here, Dave, in ability have been showing up in the different disciplines out on Zwift. You would have thought Zwift Racing only had one discipline, virtual racing, but you've got a lot of different ones, obviously, seeing how much of a difference there is coming from the BRT team in the Premier League in a points race versus the TTT, winning here on last Thursday and then second to the Canyon Esports team last week as well.
It's not going to be long, Nathan, until you hear someone saying, oh, yeah, well, she's a team time trial specialist, right? I think that's awesome. I mean, it just tells you the sport within the sport, these disciplines. This one is absolutely blowing up right now when you talk about the team time trial and what WTRL is doing. So for folks, a little split here. Let's weld this back together, ladies. Or excuse me, guys. Sorry. So Nathan, one of the things when you're looking at Thursdays. This is the 80th week in a row that we've been racing team time trials. Now, the popularity of this event helped shoehorn it into the ZRL. So on alternate weeks, they're racing both the Premier League and the Community Leagues. The Premier happening on that's Mondays, and then Tuesdays we have racing from around the globe. This 2020 team that we're talking about races in that the Premier League, the very highest level. They'll race on Monday. They have done a lot of work on their team time trialing, and they deserve all the success that they are able to obtain in the next few weeks. There's 5 weeks of racing left in the ZRL, and this team has been out racing just about every week. Last week, it was Shayna Paulus they were getting a win for. Just yesterday, you had Reznikov and Kolchinsky finishing in the top 3 in a really deep field of racing. So the teams that are doing their work, especially, so there's 2 benefits here. You get better at the team time trialing, but then your team is on Discord. They learn each other's the ins and the outs and the what have yous of being a part of a team, and the team bonds and grows. And it's really, really cool to see that. So this discipline, team time trialing, it extends into the ZRL, and it also just makes you a better team. And the teams that we're looking at here now, we're going to start seeing some splits at 8K. That'll start telling us a lot. They're racing in reverse seed, so the fastest teams will be going last. The other thing to note is that these are the 11 teams that qualified from around the globe. Not every team that qualifies races, but the top 11 teams qualified to be in this special zone. There's that we call Premier League. There's 8 other zones that you can race in throughout the day, and it's very routine that we'll see of the 10 fastest times or 11 fastest times, you'll see 2 or 3 of them not coming out of the Premier. So Nathan, I'll throw it back to you, as today we're covering the Espresso, which is the highest level of racing, Vienna, highest level for women, all women's teams, I should say, and then we're with the lattes today as well.
Yeah, we are looking at DDC Blur here. Looks like some solid crew up in here. Professional triathlete M. Russell. You will be able to notice that on the right-hand side of the friends list on course here. So, or on screen here, excuse me, with the green pro kit there. We also have a couple check marks. So just a little bit off topic from the TTT. Been seeing so many celebrities and top professional sports, coming into the world of Zwift. Really interesting. We saw Barry Bonds a few months back. Now, yesterday, while I was out on course, riding this specific course, actually checking it out a little bit, I actually saw Brett Favre out on course yesterday. Yeah. Ended up riding with him for a little while. Very cool to see. And so the reason I'm saying that is those check marks, if you're wondering why those check marks are there, they're essentially to make sure that nobody's able to copy a name out on Zwift or in the world of Zwift. So if you are looking at those check marks, you're wondering, oh, is that the real person? The check mark means yes, that has been a verified account, and that's why they put them out there just in case. So nobody's able to replicate someone. You'd hate to have anybody out there blasting anything that under somebody else's name that you don't want out there. So that's what those are for there. 10:21 coming in from Cryogen at the 8K mark. We'll see what DDC Blur can pull off here as they're coming in with a 10:33. So it looks like Cryogen Gulls looking to better their lowest seed on the week here now.
All right, so getting these first time checks. You know who I saw was Patrick Dempsey out riding a couple days ago in the morning, Nathan. And that's those are some of the Easter eggs that you find out there besides just the pro riders. I love that about Zwift. So, yeah, again, today, when you look at what's been going on, the team's really dialing in their ability to race the team time trial in such a specific event. This is another team, Nathan. You can look at the bikes and you get a feel pretty quickly for what level Zwifters you're dealing with. That disc wheel doesn't show up until you've ridden well past the distance across North America to obtain the right to have that on your bike, buying it with drops out there. As we take a look at a team looking really good right now, this DDC Blur team, that's 10:02 for the Vultures is going to be our fast time. But again, we do seed in reverse order. We're going to be looking for the extra turbo snails. They've been perennial podium contenders out here. The WTRL Volendam team also very strong. So this is the big leagues that we're looking at. And I think, Nathan, I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Brat Pack, PO Auto, they come in based on, well, not only last week's performance, but the credentials that they've built up over time. Is the two teams that I would be expecting to see locked in battle for the top step of the podium. But you never know. I mean, look at this. The Restart ODZ team, they're always going to be in the mix. And then Vision D-Pack, never count them out. We got some great squads that are going to be racing for a big win here in the 80th edition of the WTRL. Here's a familiar name.
The Vultures are coming in here now, as we can see. Yes, Ed Hool. This is top rider here. Amazing ride this past Tuesday. So Cryo RDT, this is a team I'd be watching out for to up their game as well this week. Ed Hool as well as Harry Mustard, both of them were taking some big points and some first across the line there from Hool with that move up over the top in Richmond. Actually, if you didn't catch that this past week in the community side of the Zwift Racing League, Hool absolutely threw down. So go check that out, as well as Harry Mustard throwing down for some points early on in the race too. So a couple of riders here on this team that have been absolutely showing up in the ZRL. And now I think I've been watching out for them here today. Boro, they've kind of stacked this team up actually. Cohen's in here, Anderson, Pauly, Hunter. This is not something to wink at all, as they've already brought back, it looks to be 34 seconds in the first 10K on DDC Blur. And DDC Blur are no joke. So, I have a feeling that Cryo RDT are going to be moving up. They perhaps were not quite as stacked the last couple of weeks, and I wouldn't be surprised for a top three out here. Volendam as well, only 2 seconds behind them. This top five is going to be very difficult to jump into here because Vision D-Pack, Restart as well, PO Auto, Brat Pack, all of them are going to be very motivated. Look at that. Volendam coming in 9:59.
Wow, that first team to crack the 10-minute barrier out there. And I don't know that they might be the only one here. They go out very, very hot here. One of the things about this course being so flat is you're not going to see a whole huge variation in these splits because the course doesn't change much. So it's going to be interesting. Once you establish a lead, it's going to be harder for teams to whittle that back out there, as most of these teams should have a pretty good pacing schedule on a day like today. There's not a lot of complications, and here's a team that has really put it all together, Nathan, as again we're following along with the espressos, the Viennas, and the lattes out here. The teams start in intervals, and as we look 1 minute intervals out of the pens here, and what have we got here, Nathan?
Yeah, so we're looking at Evo Valencia, it looks like, and they are coming through with Putters, Cole, as well as Warburton here. They are full, it seems to be 123 back. So they've lost a good amount of time, and it looks to be splitting up a little bit. So a little bit of struggling, it looks like. DDC Blur dropped off a rider very early, so losing one rider, and that as well as Upcott here. So, that can be hugely detrimental to the team, having less bodies out there to get that snowball effect going. So I've been learning a little bit. I've been doing the TTT the last couple of weeks. I've recently subbing in actually on DDC's Hayes team on the evenings in the far west zone 8 actually. So and I learned a lot doing that, Dave, about how incredibly important it is to have those extra bodies in there, that little bit of extra rest, even if they can hold on for just 15 extra seconds, how much of a difference that 15 seconds makes if they can just pull for just a little while, or even if it's down a downhill and their body ends up their avatar, ends up moving through, and then you're able to get just even 5 seconds of rest. Everybody then gets that 5 seconds. And that can become exponential across everyone, because everyone got that. That gives everybody almost an extra 30 seconds, because then someone else can pull for 5 extra. It all kind of welds together with this amazing arithmetic, really, when it comes, and so with that one dropped off, and that's where you really need to have across the board similarity in ability. So if you don't have that similarity in ability, and you end up just demolishing your team, now there's that tipping point though where you got to go fast over some of these sections where somebody just has to hang on. So it's a very, very fine line, the TTT, and it's so much precision, really coming down to an art form. I'm starting to realize after just jumping in for a couple weeks here, and I'm addicted now at this point. I'm absolutely loving it.
Communication is a huge part of it. Not only when you're feeling good, letting the riders know that you can take a longer pull and do that really the yeoman's work or woman's work of, like Nathan said, staying on the front a little bit longer, giving your teammates more of a chance. Sometimes it's not even a chance to recover. It's just allowing them to hang in the group until they maybe feel a little bit better. And that's one of the things that when you're having trouble, because that's the name of the game in the team time trial here, is you are only as strong as your fourth weakest link. But that's also not fair to look at it that way, because you want to see what Volendam is doing. The entire team rolling together. Now, on this course, there's not a whole lot of downhill to take advantage of the incredible snowballing effect and the momentum that you have in the Zwift platform, but it makes a huge difference when you're traveling at 51 kilometers per hour as they are right now. The drafting effect increases not quite exponentially, but the faster you're going, the bigger the difference having a good draft, how close and tight your formation is. And at 61 kilometers per hour, it is a massive difference. Now, when you're climbing up the leg snapper and you're moving at 12 kilometers per hour, there's almost it's a very negligible amount of draft you get. Here it is significant. And this team is flat out pinning it right now. Nathan, this is one of the teams that has really done their homework as well. Volendam, one of the most experienced and respected teams in the platform here. As we take a look, that 9:59 remains the fastest time. It's only 1 second back, though, to Volendam here at that 8-kilometer checkpoint. It's 4 seconds more back to the Cryo RDT Vultures. Very, very close here, because then you look at PO Auto. So in between first and fourth, you've got 6 seconds, 4 teams packed into that tiny envelope there. And it's not all that much further back to get the Vision D-Pack and the Brat Pack. And these are two teams that have already proved themselves here. We got ourselves an absolute Donnybrook going on right now, Nathan, as wow. I really, really impressed here. As again, this is going to be, I'm going to think, Nathan, at the finish line today, we might see our first race that has 3 teams within 10 seconds of each other.
Yeah, it's going to be and this is a very hotly contested, as you're saying here, Dave. Only 6 seconds between first and fourth place. Brat Pack only a little ways back. Brat Pack, though, struggling a little bit. They're close, though, between fifth and sixth there at a 10:13. So for the first splits here into that 8K mark, we have caught up with all of the times here for the men's Espresso. Let's go ahead and jump on in with the Viennas now, as we do jump in with the first seed that went out on the day. Slowest from last week, but Sisu Dude looking to try and make something happen with I Race Like a Girl. Hansen, Willis, Yates, Nussbaumer is out there. Lieberman's as well riding for this. Mortar, and then it's going to be Langer. So we saw Lieberman very strong in the ZRL this past week on that Richmond course, taking a couple of sprints, and I think she got a top 5 if I'm not incorrect. It might have been better than that, and there's a lot of racing throughout the day. We cover 4 zones. It's hard to keep track of, but definitely a name that was being shouted out plenty throughout the broadcast. So very strong rider now. She leads them out of the underground water here.
Well, I hear that we've got Lucy Charles and the Choppers are back as well, Nathan. It sounds like they've redoubled their efforts. So it's going to be interesting to see what they bring to the table here. As again, the Choppers team, 2020, Wonder Women. These are the Sisu
Look at the times,
another
Dave.
one of the very. Go ahead.
Look at the times, Dave. Look at the time. Wow.
So there you go. This gives you a good feel. Now, we still haven't put Socks for Watts or Wonder Women up, and these are the 2 teams that have qualified the fastest here. So to be honest, 2020 and the Choppers are the challengers today, and you can see a 10:53, so Socks for Watts goes inside of that. Okay, they are back. Socks for Watts has been the queens of team time trialing, Nathan, and they are going to be absolutely champing at the bit to have a chance to take back that overall lead. And they go 10 seconds faster than 2020. And 2020 has added Kristen Armstrong into the mix, the 3-time Olympic gold medal winner. Choppers at 11:10. So these gaps are interesting, much larger than what we saw in the men's elite race, or I should just call it espresso. So instead of using A, B, C's, and D's, we use the espresso, Vienna, latte, the coffee categories. But the time we're looking for is Wonder Women. How close are they going to be? Any second now, you're going to see that pop up on our leaderboard here. I'm expecting it. If I had to guess, Nathan, I think it's going to be right there. And there it is, 10:49, right there in between 2020 and Socks for Watts. We've got the best team time trial that we have had in the 80 editions, in my opinion. I haven't seen them all, Nathan. This race right here, right now, the Vienna, the elite women, is going to be the best team time trial that we've seen in 2020.
So the Wrens that we're looking at here, 11:19, they're going to be chopping at the bit to get the Choppers, trying to take them back here, it looks like. RDT Wrens, they were the second to go out, but they have jumped up pretty well here into that 5th spot. You know, according to their seed, they should be closer down to that 9, 10, and 11, but they're having a great ride this week. Got to bring back 9 seconds to bring back the Choppers here to get into that 4th place. 2020, though, Wonder Women as well as Socks for Watts, all sub 11 at this point, within 10 seconds of each other. So at the 8K mark, things are flying, and we have a battle for those top 3 spots. And the motivation now is really going to be coming out, because this is, you know, the Wonder Women, they have had that top spot for 2 weeks. They're going for 3 in a row. Socks Watts have been unseated as the champions the last couple of weeks. We'll see, though. They have showed up and said, no, we are coming back with a vengeance. 2 seconds is the difference. Wonder Women in full kit out here. We'll see what they can pull off.
Well, I tell you what, it's really going to be a battle of, I'm going to say 3 teams here now, because that's almost 20 seconds from 2020 back to the Choppers. I think you can draw a line there, as it's going to be a 3-team absolute Donnybrook now. So Socks for Watts, again, just to kind of give you the perspective here, 2020 is one of the teams that's competing in the ZRL Premier League, and they're one of the best teams in the Premier League as well. I mean, listen to this roster. You've got Antonina Reznikov, the Israeli triathlete, Charlotte Backus, who joins the team coming from Socks for Watts, where she brought some of that institutional team time trial knowledge with her, and has been a very useful rider in just helping develop this team time trial program. Then you've got the winter, and so they've got 3 Olympic level athletes on this team. Georgia Simmerling, who's not only medaled at the Olympics, she's been to the Summer and the Olympic Games. She's Canadian. She's got her teammate Jasmine During, who's also a teammate of Simmerling's on the track, where they won a bronze medal in the team pursuit. So you've got Jasmine During and Georgia Simmerling on that team. Kristen Kolchinsky, who's been given a lot of props as this unbelievable story of someone who's never actually raced a bike in real life and is one of the best Zwifters or esports racers in the world. it's amazing story talking about Kolchinski, Kristen Armstrong, who we already mentioned, the Colombian phenomenon, Natalia Franco, and Shayna Paulus. That team has tremendous depth. It's actually like an all-star hit squad, yet the Wonder Women team, this team is such a great story. I would even say a lot of IT professionals, some very bright, heavy hitter women in their chosen work environments who, when they focus on bike racing, they've been almost unstoppable. The last 2 weeks, they've been the best team in the world. And Sox for Watts was the team that they took that title from, and they have roared back, Nathan. And I'm expecting to see big things from them today. As a matter of fact, it might even be their race to lose. I see you've got the Cryo Rens up here now as we start looking at times coming in at 22:48. First checks at 16K.
Now, as we're looking at the 16K, Brat Pack here separating a little bit. Rodriguez, as she heads into this S-turns, this is a very crucial section of the waistband. It is one of the only consistently uphill gradients, actually, outside of the leaving of the Tempest Fugit into the Titans Grove, but then the left-hand turn on over toward the mountain that most of the teams have already done. Rodriguez here, though, pressing the pace up into that 5+ watts per kilogram. It's a good move, but the rest of the team needs to get on terms. They are holding on, it looks like, and that glue is coming back together. A couple of the riders here, as you do see Rodriguez grabbing on the Gamps' wheel, but they cannot slow down. This section, in my opinion, is absolutely crucial because the speeds through here, an extra kilometer per hour, 2 kilometers per hour through here, will make up 5 to 10 seconds out on course because of, as you can see, these S-turns consistently uphill all the way through. Do not slow down. In my opinion, Rodriguez did the right thing as well as Gamps and forced everyone else to come across to them, holding up in that 5 watts per kilometer. Now you just see, though, it did fall down to 4 or so. So having some organization there and really being ready for each section of the course is so important. You need to know what's coming at you, how to go, what kind of watts per kilogram to hold. Now, the rest is here. At this point, yeah, have one rider over the top here, 4, 5, even 5, but they can back off a little bit on the downhill, little bit of a jump, everybody gets on wheel, and then grab that speed and come on the downhill. That's your chance to rest. That's your chance to take a little bit of reprieve. The uphills, where it's going to matter the most, consistent speed, Gamps and Rodriguez doing the right thing. I think the rest of the team from BRT kind of got it together, but I think they may have lost a little bit of time not keeping it consistent quite enough. Now, Z-Sun, they're coming through that same exact section here as you do see at 39 kilometers per hour consistently on the front from D. Shaw at 5.4 watts per kilogram. Now 40. This will be extra time. We saw 39 there from BRT, so we'll see if they can keep this well together a little bit better than we saw from BRT.
I'd love to take a look at the Wonder Women squad and see exactly who we've got racing with them. These teams will have various incarnations, Nathan, that's for sure. Now, Monali Keller, V Win have been two of the riders out of Seattle on that squad. But this is a team that has, I mean, they're racing all over the globe, no doubt about it, when you talk about our defending champions, the Wonder Women squad.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. They are going to be the last seed to go out, so they're going to be a little ways behind here, probably just leaving Titans Grove, no, probably just heading into the underground, actually, and leaving on over toward Ocean Boulevard here.
They've readjusted that split. It's almost even, actually, at 8K. Sox for Watts only just call it 2 seconds there, the difference. That's a margin of error now. That race is basically deadlocked for the top spot as they make their way through the middle part of the course. Again, this is the Viennas, the women that we're talking about. We have all the different categories going on out here. Nathan in with the Z-Sun R team right now.
Z-Sun R Hypernovas, they were fourth to go out on course, 4th seed, and it was them and Sisu battling it out there at 11:40, 11:46. So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up playing. Almost a full minute back, though, from Sox for Watts. So they'll be on the lower end of the second half of the leaderboard. Aeonian is out on teams. Daniela Strate, definitely the power horse out here. Jamie Lee Wright's here as well from Aeonian, as you can see. Kearney, Lawson, 8:15, Wimblet, and then Matthew, it looks like, is going to be making up this team for the Aeonians. Sox for Watts chasing them down, 55 seconds back right now. Have they already picked up one of the teams out there? I wonder, between Aeonian and
they have.
Sox for Watts, it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, they were pretty close to a minute up at the checkpoint, actually, or it was only about 12 seconds. This Sox for Watts team, I mean, listen to this squad: Rachel Elliott, Cecilia Hansen, Vicky Nealon, Lizzie Duncombe, Kirsten Pohl, Louise Holm Huback. You've got Leah Thorbalson and Alice Lethbridge. That's a monster team. That's actually the other Sox for Watts team that I was mentioning there. This is going to be the Aero Unicorns that we're looking at: Claire Good, Gemma Felstead, Kate Laura, Ellie Eschchild, Claire Reed, Ruby Oakes, Sharon Bird, and Laura Starner making up the Aero Unicorns team. This is the feeder team for the Sox for Watts WRT squad.
Looking a little ways back here as we move our way through. Aero Unicorns having a solid ride so far. 11:35 was their checkpoint there. They're sitting at that last checkpoint. I think they were right around 6th or 7th place. 22:51 currently third, but that will be overtaken by most likely. There it is. CCI Race Like a Girl coming on in at a 22:11, moving things down the leaderboard. Interesting to see. I'm really excited to see how things play out here with 2020. 21:25. Wow, 2020 here. The motivation, let's go ahead and see where they're out on course right now as Franco. Then they have a stacked field here. Backus, Franco, Reznikov, Kolchinsky, as you can see. Oh, man. Dury making her way to the front now. And this is the section I was talking about. They're pulling 41, 42 kilometers per hour. Look at that speed. That's a full 3 kilometers per hour faster than some of the other teams we saw coming through this section. They're doing exactly what we're talking about.
Looks like they're going to lose a rider right here. So when Kristen Armstrong is on the team, it changes the morale and the motivation. When Kristen Armstrong,
that's 0, unless she just blew up.
So that's Georgia Simmerling, the winter and summer athlete, who Olympic athlete. That leaves 2 of their 3 Olympians are still in this group. That's going to be the Colombian rider, Natalia Franco, on the back. This is a big push here, as now you can see they're using this nearly single file formation. Olympic bronze medal winner Jasmine During up on the front. This team is flying, but Nathan, they don't have the fastest time. Coming in 2 seconds quicker is Sox for Watts. So this is going to go down. It's going to be a 3-team battle royale because Wonder Women will be right there as well. 21-24, 21-26. These are the 2 teams that are in a league of their own, but add another team, I guarantee you that Wonder Women will be right in there. They might even, I'm going to expect them to be right at that 21-20. Let's go 21-25 right now, just for a little bit of symmetry. We're watching the best women in the world absolutely having at it in the 80th edition of the WTRL. This team now, Nathan, is within 10 kilometers of the finish when you look at 2020. I love their trajectory. I love what they're doing, and this is really encouraging for the team to have this many riders together at this point. This is a big ride for 2020.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of practicing the last couple of weeks. We have been having chats a little bit with the teammates as well as their director with Nicola from 2020. And, I have a feeling that, they have really done their homework here at this point. Lots of practice. They've been doing lots of course recons. They've been watching. They've been studying, and it looks like they've really gotten it together here. And I think we're seeing that pay off now. And as far as stacking the team out here today, it looks like Armstrong at the front now. 402 watts from Kristen Armstrong as she pulls through at 44 kilometers per hour, keeping that speed as high as they possibly can. Reznikov now gluing it back together. Kolchinsky there, 5-3, sitting second or third wheel now. And Kristen almost distancing herself from the rest of the pack just a little bit with that speed. They're going to bring it back together, though. Kolchinsky grabbing that second wheel. She pulls almost 6.5 watts per kilogram coming from Armstrong. This is amazing right now, as we are seeing, though. What is the time coming on? Now, Sisudu changed things up a little bit on the leaderboard here. Let's see if I can bring this back in for that 16-kilometer mark. Sox Watts still holding on. 2020 tied. 2 seconds. Oh, my gosh.
Wonder Women is tied there, so that exactly, they are right there. We have 3 teams within 2 seconds. It's the closest we've ever seen at that checkpoint. This is absolutely bananas, what we're witnessing right now. I mean, I would say go ahead, let your friends know that one of the best bike races that's happened in this year, the COVID year, is happening right here, right now. Kristen Armstrong, what an incredible story she is. Armstrong, it's not just the 3 Olympic gold medals, Nathan. She's the only athlete in the history of the Olympic movement that has won an Olympic gold medal, had a child, and come back and won an Olympic gold medal in the same discipline. Think about that for a minute.
Kolchinsky here now, learning and studying up underneath some of the best athletes we've ever seen in the cycling discipline right now. Now as she pulls, what a great story here, pulling for the Olympic gold medalist on her wheel. I mean, isn't that great here in this year, getting into the sport and now out here on course,
Just
pulling
shot
at 6 watts per kilogram, 183. It's amazing.
the greatest spectrum that you could ever find on your screen would be this: a woman who has never raced a bike in real life before, and then a three-time Olympic gold medalist going side by side, pedal stroke for pedal stroke on this platform. If that doesn't tell a story, I don't know what does, Nathan. That's absolutely mind-blowing. That's Kristen Kolchinsky. She's a jeweler. She lives on Long Island, Sag Harbor. She is a very talented jeweler. There's no question. And I don't think anyone could have anticipated a rider as she came up. Reznikov riding up right next to her right now. These two really showed up on our radar at the same time. It was a great story as Nikki Cranmer was watching the gravel series that we had this summer. So when you had Kolchinsky and Reznikov riding away from the field week after week, that certainly piqued some interest. They both came over to the team along with Charlotte Backus, who's moving up right now, having a good ride today. And they really reset everything over there at 2020. Some of the established stars made some room and allowed these two esports superstars. Well, to be fair to Reznikov, she comes from the world of triathlon. I'll throw it back to you, Nathan. You've got Kirsten Towle here. They're down to 5. So I'm not sure what S4W is, but this is the Wonder Women that we're looking at right now. Vicky Nealon, that's going to be Hansen, and Alice Lethbridge. Boy, this is not looking great right now, however, Nathan. Let's analyze what we've got in front of us here. Wonder Women might be in a bit of trouble right now just looking at the pictures. A split in the team, down to 5.
So jumping in with Lethbridge here, Rachel Elliott, Hansen, Pohl, and Nealon. It's going to be interesting to see what they can pull off as it's going to be the Heino team alongside of Rachel Elliott and Kirsten Pohl for the Sox for Watts WRT. So, having those 3 red jerseys, though, it's 3 red jerseys here for Sox for Watts, I think, with the Heino squad that are really going to be holding things together, I think, out here to try and keep that time good. They were 2 seconds up with only 5 riders left. I wonder if they went out a little strong, as I am seeing Leah Thorvaldsen off the back, I think is what happened there. So they did lose a couple of riders. So, Wonder Women, I'm not sure, though. We'll have to wait and see how that ends up playing out for them. As again, was that 2 seconds difference? We'll have to jump around a little bit here between a couple of the other categories in just a moment. Wanted to make sure that we made our way through the entirety of the Viennas before we did move around. Now, one other story, though, because there's a lot of stories going on here. Obviously, the 2020 situation is pretty amazing. Looks like they've gained some time there. We'll have to keep an eye on it, though. 102, I think, is the correct time up, so only still a 2-second gap. Well, no, maybe it's out to 26. We'll have to wait and see. It does go up and down quite a bit between the changing of the different roads that they are on, so we'll keep an eye on that time between Sox Watts and 2020, but 2020 might be walking away with this a little bit. But the other story here is the fact that these community teams, in my opinion, at this point, we're starting to get to a place where the level across here has discovered so many athletes, right? When it comes down to it, there are people who are training at a certain type of level week in and week out, day in and day out on this platform that are developing their skills. And at a certain point, it is a dice roll, a genetic dice roll. There's a lot of respect and rightfully so, respect within the pro peloton in real life for a lot of these athletes. That respect, though, can then turn into a guard. It can turn into kind of like, this is the only people who are in the world who are good at cycling. No, I'm sorry. The reality is there is a certain amount of genetic pool that is out there that will be discovered through this platform, and we are watching that happen with people who are at home hammering away on their bikes and showing that they've got the talent to go up against some of the best in the world on this platform and might be better at it because they are riding it day in and day out, not as their main genre here, Dave.
Yeah, well, so let's take a look at these splits here because this is going to be the big story now for the run-in. This split comes very late, so after we get these times, it's only going to be about 4 more K, or make it, 6K to the line, and it's going to be 2020. They set the fast mark with a 29:33. So Sox for Watts with Alice Lethbridge we're watching now. we're looking again. They now have got this not dialed in. We haven't been with Wonder Women for a few minutes here, so it'll be interesting to see. But this Sox for Watts team has certainly got the bit between their teeth here as they are charging. This is going to be Rick Trova of the Wonder Women team, and there it is, a 29-31. So Wonder Women has, Sox for Watts now. They're going to correct that time, just 2 seconds.
Holding on by 2 seconds there, Dave.
Right. So that flips, and it's 29:31, the time for Sox for Watts there, who have our fast time at the last check before the finish. We're still waiting for the Wonder Women to come through, and it's going to be right there. I mean, Nathan, if it's under 29:30, I'll be surprised, but it won't be by much, as this is, again, going to go right down to the wire. The Wonder Women, Sox for Watts in 2020. Any second now, we're going to see that Wonder Women time come up on the board, and then we'll know exactly what we're dealing with. That's going to be V Win, the rider on the front right now that we're looking at. So this is the Wonder Women that we've got on our screen.
Yeah, Wonder Women here. They were the top seed, so they were last to go out on course. 4.9 watts per kilometer on the front with Grobler now as Grobler pulls on through at 53 kilometers per hour. It's down to just seconds here. We're waiting for the 22K mark to come on through. There it is. Wonder Women are behind now at this point. I don't know if they can make that up. It's only a 28K race. They've got 4 kilometers up and out of the saddle. Essentially, with this many riders, though, okay, there still is a tactic here. They need to put someone on the front in full-on sprint, essentially, completely waste themselves, in my opinion, and over again. Exactly. They have more riders. They can just send someone to the front and sprint to try and gain something back, perhaps. I don't know.
Well, what they need to do is sacrifice a rider or two. You're going to need to take 2 riders on this team, have them go to the front, and take a pull that would kill a mortal human being. Exactly. And then they will have to pull off. There is no way that this entire group will finish with the fastest time. 2 riders need to turn themselves into booster rockets here and sacrifice themselves for the better good of the team. This is team time trialing at its very best. Now, I'm wondering if we're going to see any kind of back-end API adjustments on that time. It doesn't look like we will. So let's lock that down at a 5-second advantage from Sox for Watts to the Wonder Women. 2020, that's just a margin of error at this point. They're 2 seconds back. And so 2020 also had numbers. So that's the problem for the team we're with right now is Sox for Watts. All very strong women. There's Lizzie Duncombe. You see that Hino jersey, that red jersey. I mean, this team has tremendously talented athletes. I mean, Vicki Nealon. I mean, all of these riders are legends, but there's only 5 of them. The advantage here obviously goes to the teams that have numbers, like 2020, and 2020 now has lost another rider out of this team as well. I'm going to guess, Shayna Powell is still there. I think Franco was the rider that was dangling, but that's a team that they have passed, Nathan, that we're looking at right behind them there.
Yeah, and as you can see, it looks like Reznikov pulling on through 45 kilometers per hour. This is the last couple of Ks they come on through to the sprint section. We'll jump around. I know a lot of people are, okay, where are the times? We're going to stay with this just until across the line. Then we'll start jumping in to see what the Espresso's times are as they came across. But this is the tightest race on the day by far. And as you can see, 2020 are trying their absolute best to hold on now to those seconds they've gotten over Wonder Women, or even claw their way back over Sox for Watts. Sox for Watts so incredibly strong with less riders out there today, but being led by that Hino team. And Hino, having Hino out there, they, from the Premier League, obviously have been the strongest out there so far. Paulus now bursting through the front to bring that up to 45 kilometers per hour, 6.3, 6.4 watts per kilogram. This athlete, through Zwift Racing, we've seen her take leaps and bounds in this platform. As far as her power profiles, I haven't seen Shannon Paulus pulling at 6.2, 6.3 like this. I don't think I'd ever hear. She is getting so strong. Amazing to see as she leads this team out to the line.
She's channeling her inner Chloe Dygert, I would have to say, as Shayna is there in Indianapolis right now and went up and visited Chloe, who's at home, her childhood home in Brownsburg, Indiana. It's very cool to see that this team has connected at such a high level, and this is the best Shayna Powell that we've seen in a while. She won a big race a week ago, and she's making an impact here in the finish, and I know this is going to mean a lot to Shayna Powell. So she's not only riding with the team, she's playing a big role. Now we're going to take a look here. These riders are really, really digging bringing in. Reznikov is having a fantastic ride. The Israeli triathlete, now they know the finish line is just up the road here. A few more sweeping bends and they will be done and dusted. So Reznikov, the team, and now the poles are going to be a little bit shorter. I think you're going to see the rotation happening at a faster rate. Great job by Charlotte Backus to be in there again today. Both Reznikov and Kolchinsky have proven themselves to have huge engines, and it really was just getting the team synced up, Nathan. I think they've done a tremendous job of that. As I was saying, you reap what you sow, and this team has been doing a lot of work
They're
out in the
fading,
field,
though.
and
They're
today
fading.
might be their day.
Everyone's gaskets are, I think, right at their limit at this point here. Kolchinsky says, see, now with Kolchinsky, as you can see, 6.3, 6.5, she's pulling through and saying, no, we have to keep this up. It's only about a K, little less than a K to go at this point, but we did see it fade. They all dropped to about 4 watts per kilogram for a moment. They almost caught the Choppers, it looks like, here out on course. Choppers having a solid ride. They're sitting in 5th place currently, but here comes Reznikov at 4.9 watts per kilogram. Nobody's got 6 still, though. They're not even going to be in a sprint. Everybody's put almost everything they've got out on course here. Backus now pulling through. Here's what they need. They need 7 watts per kilogram, or excuse me, 6 to 7 here through to the finish here at 46 kilometers per hour. I think they're losing precious seconds. Kolchinsky, though, she makes her way to the front. Here we go. 9 watts per kilogram. We'll see if it's able to hold on, though, to the times that they need in order to take over. Sox for Watts. It's tied at 29:31. 29:31, and it's going to be all about this across the line. Will they have done it out here? Sisu, I raced like a girl. Here's the team that was chasing them down, though. This is Sox for Watts. Did they lose time because they had a lot less riders here, but they may have been pulling a higher watts per kilogram, but it looks like it's really been Lethbridge and Elliott leading things out this last few K, and 47 kilometers per hour we're seeing here from Lethbridge at 5.7. We saw it in the 4 watts per kilogram. This is what I was talking about. This final few K, it's so important to hold that high watts per kilogram through, and it looked like 2020 had been fading after Paulus's pull through. We'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, you got to give credit to Charlotte Backus for getting back up there. Kolchinsky is ferocious. There's no doubt about it. Was it enough? I mean, we've got them tied out there right now. So we're going to find out who wants it more, who's willing to dig deeper. This 5-rider squad, Nathan, when you talk about a team where you're looking for 5 evenly matched athletes, I don't think you're going to do better than this squad. You got 5 superstars about to finish here. Oh, it's going to be so interesting. And the Wonder Women are still, if they can just keep pushing, they've still got a shot. These ladies will never give up. There's no doubt about that. The one thing they've got going for them, Nathan, look at the speed. It's a little bit quicker, 47, 48. We were seeing 45s, 46s from the other squads on this part of the course. Maybe they're doing enough. Is it going to be enough? It's going to be a margin of seconds at the line. What an absolute thriller we are witnessing here today. Nathan, it looks like they're saying Sox for Watts. Well, let's just leave it at this. The Wonder Women are now absolutely and utterly burying themselves.
Yeah, that's the 22K. So we are seeing a 37.04 preliminary 37.04 from 2020. Now, we did note Sox for Watts came across just a few, a minute or so afterwards as far as, from the seeding time. So we'll have to wait and see. So 37.04, we'll have to wait and see what comes through, though, for Sox for Watts. We are seeing 36.52 currently.
Faster. They got it.
Did they do this?
They did
it. My goodness.
I mean, if what you said is correct, that was way under 37.04. That was under 37. So they've done it. But we'll look at the back-end API before we make any bold claims. But I think the Wonder Women did enough to hold the title for the 3rd week in a row, if my eyes don't deceive me. Nathan, that is as good as it gets.
Whew. What a race out here today. We tried to jump around. I do want to say we were planning on jumping around to the lattes. It was just there was a ton happening. We're definitely going through all of the results here, Dave. As that was absolutely flying. We will be jumping in to take a look at the splits here as well for the. Let's take a quick look at the splits for the espressos as well as the lattes. Let's give an idea of at least how things had been playing out throughout the race for each one of these categories here, as I know a lot of riders are probably wondering where things stood throughout. As we take a look here real quickly, give me 1 second here, everybody, as got to grab the browsers here and everything. But where are we at here for the Martin, real quickly. Actually, here we'll jump back here, guys. Sorry, I thought we were ready to go, but we don't want to be too quick about this. If I'm too quick about it, then we could end up with mistakes. Everybody wondering what exactly happened. I'm still waiting on the results for the women. We need to make sure that they're absolutely correct, because do not want anybody to be jumping up and down for joy, and then there's it's not completely on point.
Well, one thing we did witness there was a really good example of why it's a team time trial is about depth and strength. And when you could see there, if it is confirmed that the Wonder Women win, it's because they kept riders around. They were able to participate in the final couple of kilometers. The speed that we saw there, they were nosing up to 50K per hour in the last K. The other teams that we saw were more like a little over 45K per hour. And if you Zwift, you realize that if you're going 48K and the person in front of you is going 46K per hour, it takes a long time to close down that gap. But a 5 kilometer per hour difference for a kilometer, that's a handful of seconds. And that was exactly what the Wonder Women needed. So, Nathan, I don't know if you're getting some information there, but it certainly looked. So Wonder Women did it.
It's as tight as it gets. Well, no, it's as tight as it ever has been. It's never been tighter. It's never, ever, like literally we're talking less than a second here. Hold on a second though. I'm waiting for a second.
We should wait rather, because
we're going to wait.
I don't want to give bad information.
I don't either. We're going to wait a little bit. Let's take a look through those splits. Let's take a look through these splits here and see how it all played out though for the day. Let's jump back in with the espressos. It looks like PO Auto. This is not the final results. This is how things played out. PO Auto ended up taking time back there. It looks like 10:05, 19:50, and then there's a 27:16. I think they're going to be able to hold on. We'll have to wait and see. Volendam followed up by the Restart Squad. That was a pretty tight race. It looks like there for that second, third, and fourth place. The splits there coming through for the Frappes. It looks like it was a tight race to the top between Oivo Vortex, Kiss Racing Team, and two guys at Rim, as you can see. And then in the lattes here, it was Vikings Valhalla by 10 seconds at the 22K mark. Kirchmer E-Cycling Las Freneticos. And then that was the situation there. It looks like a little bit of struggling there at the bottom end with Sunrise Racing Team. RR Black Rhinos, Team TFC Hurricanes, and TBR. That's always the battle between those top four with Lost Ketchup as well in there. Still got some mochas out on course and being told with TBR. We'll see if we can maybe jump on with them while we're waiting for the rest of the finish line, rest of the teams to finish out here. So we're gonna have to wait up a little bit, everybody, as the times still come across. So Dave, that was all of the splits. You know, the usual situations across the board for the Platinums here, and you know, I think one of the stories here for sure is how much that this WTRL TTT on Thursdays has been a training ground for the ZRL on Tuesdays. But I think there's also something to be said though for that this Platinum bringing the whole world together, if that makes sense, because the different regions, they all compete against each other. So in my opinion, because of the way we do the Platinum League, people from other regions that might be racing in another region at another time are going to be jumping in and going into a super team on Thursdays though. Does that make more sense what I'm saying? This is kind of a world event bringing the fastest of the fastest into the Platinum, whereas in the other ZRLs, you kind of have more of this regional thing going on, if that makes sense, where they're trying to gain their kits, though, and earn their kits to get into the worldwide Premier League that happens on Mondays.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that we've really learned is that the team time trial is anything but simple. The rules are really basic, but when you look at how you do it, the techniques deployed, and how much experience comes into play, the teams that are willing to do the work, like 2020, if they didn't win the race today, and they did win the race today because they took knowledge, motivation, and courage, and they will absolutely be a better team. So This, you're absolutely right, Nathan, how this is a worldwide phenomenon. There's going to be a lot of teams here that use this for morale and camaraderie. Some teams, as you said, are looking to make their mark in the world of elite cycling. And certainly what happened today in that women's race is one of the best bike races I wouldn't even say that I've seen in 2020. If you want to just look at what we witnessed here, you had three teams who all at 1K to go had the potential of winning. We haven't seen anything that close between two teams. And Nathan, you've done more of these than I have. This is the 80th WTRL. But if you want to talk about parity at the high end, and then you've got other teams that are only 30, 40 seconds back, and it was a matter of catching a break or two out there. So this was absolutely awesome. The thing that I really appreciate you doing here, Nathan, is that we can probably scrounge out something that looks like results for you and call them out right now. But if they're not right, we're doing a disservice to the teams that actually win, because there's something about the glory. It's like putting a rider up on the podium and doing the presentation and then realizing that, no, that actually wasn't the rider. We'll represent
Yeah,
the podium.
we don't want to do that. No,
You kind of burst the bubble. Yeah, you took the cork out of the champagne already. You can't re-cork it, right? You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, as my dad used to say.
Yeah, 100%. There's no way, and I definitely don't want to burst any bubbles and have a celebration at all. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up.
That's unfair to everybody.
No, it's unfair to everybody. We are waiting
Yes.
for a couple of the mochas for the update, the delay. I think that Zwift Power is making sure that things are happening here and not getting completely shut down. So maybe things have slowed down just a little bit over there in order to make sure everything keeps processing through, though. We have there have been delays here and there. I know everybody's been waiting, especially when we're coming across the line in the ZRL with the preems and everything as well. So now, if you didn't see the update though, and you go to zwiftpower.com, you will see at the top Zwift Power will be undergoing maintenance Wednesday, November 4th. So that is most likely going to be a great upgrade that we're looking forward to for the broadcasts and all the racing. So I'm pretty excited about that, to see that things are coming along a little bit when it comes to the back end APIs. Able to get more info a little bit quicker. I mean, there's reality that this is a whole new world of racing and virtual racing, and pushing the platform is always what it's been about in the community, and that is definitely happening, as I believe we've broken like every server that could exist around Zwift things for the last 3 weeks or so, with the ZRL and now the WTRL TTT as well a little bit. So waiting on the update to come on through. Next up, though, for the world of Zwift, I believe will be happening tomorrow, if I'm not incorrect. Be on the watch out for a release of that. And then that should most likely be with Mr. Matt Stevens and Hannah. I'm not positive if they're on the release for that. But then on Monday, we do have the Premier League and week number 4 for a TTT, and me and Dave will be out there with the Premier League on Zwift Live next week. I thought we were on the waistband, but it looks like we are going to be on a different course than the waistband next week. Martin, what are we on for next week for the Premier League? You want to help us out?
For ZRL, we're on the Magnificent 8.
Magnificent 8. So out on Watopia for Magnificent 8 next week. That is going to be a difficult course. A lot of climbing, lot different than waistband, that's for sure.
Yeah, this was as pure as it gets for a team time trial effort. That's for sure. If you were working on your craft, let's use 2020 as an example again. This was a nice opportunity to just kind of get out there. It's really hard when you keep losing your rhythm in a team time trial. And this is a course that doesn't lead you towards, it's a course that's easy to find your rhythm on out there. So once you get it going, you like to keep it going. That's for sure. Number 81.
Number 81 next week. It'll be interesting to see. Oh, yeah, that's also. What are we on for next week here? We are on number 81 TTT. It says Watopia's waistband, but I don't think that we're actually on Watopia's waistband. We're in Richmond next week for the number 81. That'll be interesting. Ouch. For a TTT, big. That sounds very painful. Oh man, I mean,
they're not using the UCI. They're not using the UCI World's Road Course. I wouldn't think they must have something else.
I don't know. I kind of, that would be
I
exciting
hope.
to me. I want that. That's what I want. I want to see how that ends up playing out. But I'm the punchier climber, so I like the punchy stuff. That's for sure. My teammates might not like it very much.
They don't. You won't want to
wait
be on
see.
Nathan's team. No.
I'm being told that these are the next up to API, which is every 10 minutes. ZP is processing every 5 minutes. So that's the wait up here at this point, everybody. So we are waiting on the update here coming on in it takes about 5 to 10 minutes for it to come on through. Right now, we're all good to go is what I am being told. So let's go ahead and jump on in and see if we've got some results, everybody. And this is the closest that I've ever seen out here. Sorry about that, everybody. Socks for watts. I can't believe they did it here, Dave. 0.13 seconds. It is less than once. It is almost less than a tenth of a second out there for 2020 in socks for watts. The Wonder Women end up 6 seconds back at 37:10. Sisu, I raced like a girl a full minute here, Dave. Dave, that is a huge gap. Those top three, they are in a league of their own.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, take a look at that. So, well, you look a little deeper here. The Choppers, good to have Lucy Charles and company back. They'll end up in 5th, right behind Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, in 4th there. Then the Aero Unicorns, more than holding their own in 6th. Aeonian RT, they'll take 7th today. BRT, the Atomic Kittens in 8th. Cryo RDT Rents 9th. And then Sisu Do rounding out the top 10 here in our Platinum League.
Let's go ahead and jump on over to the Espresso and Pio Auto. They take it down by a huge margin, and that's what I've been looking to see from them. I'm hoping they can bring that back into the Premier League, but that's a whole nother level on the men's side of things. So Pio Auto Ceramic Speed 3407, WTRL Volendam with 3431, and it's gonna be the hot Restart ODZ 3433. Cryo RDT Vultures hold down for 4th there 3442. Vision DPAC 3452. POACS there with the 35. I love it that there's these other teams that are coming up within these brands, to have development teams, it looks like, underneath their top teams there. Then there's the Brat Pack there coming on through, followed up by Evo Extra Turbo Snails. And we're seeing that it's going to be Rowan King Lions and then Dutch Diesel Blur for the 10th spot. See if I can challenge the Blur tonight with the Hayes team. We're going to jump into that platinum tonight. Go ahead there, Dave.
Give them a run for their money, Nathan. All right, Icarus, 2548. Boy, I'm going to hold on that.
That's interesting.
A little quick. That's a little quick.
That's an interesting time. Martin's laughing in the background. Martin's like, well,
we do this every week.
No, that's not happening. Not happened. TPRC1. I think a few of these teams started early there. I have a feeling, perhaps.
There's
go
always
ahead.
a
Go
reason.
ahead with the Vikings Valhalla. Go ahead.
All right, a 38-17 for the gold medal. Kirkmeyer E-Cycling taking silver. And look at that, only 11 seconds back. Go to bronze medal and Eat Dirt 2. This is, again, the lattes that we're looking at. So there's your top 3 on the podium. Los Freneticos will finish 106 back in 4th. Team TFC Raptor in 5th. Team Type 1, the Lancets, in 6th. Tugas Nata. They'll take 7th. Team ODZ, the Destroyers of Cookies, in 8th. Vikings Molnir in 9th. And then Tugas Kejada in 10th.
Good job.
They got me,
Good
Nathan.
job. You got it. I think you got it there. Here, coming on through with the Mochas. It's the Rhinos. RR Black Rhinos, followed up by TBR Z6M1. Just 17 seconds back for 2nd. Team TFC Hurricane 4302. Lost Ketchup for 4th there, 4325. Then Adam Racing Team Fusion. Vikings Osberg RTR in 7th, and then GC Mad Jalapenos are screaming hot there at a 148 back. Cryogen Snow Geese, and they need to get moving maybe to warmer weather here pretty quick. Erase Mezzos there with a 45-15. So let's go ahead and take a quick look here and see what's happening next week. We are out, not on Wautopia's Wasteland. I was told to do a quick little refresh here, and we'll see if that's going to give us the correct... Boom! Richmond UCI, 2 laps.
Whoa.
They are doing UCI for 2 laps. Ouch! That's a big out. That's going to be a long day for some of these riders here, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, Libby, 23rd, Governors, we just raced there. Nathan, you and I probably watched 10 hours of racing there on Tuesday. That will be a really interesting course. Oh boy, that's going to be the course where, man, getting that fourth rider across the line, you're going to see very few teams finishing with 5. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think it's going to be a rough one, but bring your climbing legs, groom your punchers.
Yeah.
Evo Vortex, I just want to give a shout out, I think did take the frappes. It's just the top 2 will be removed, I think, from the results there. So Kiss Racing Team, followed up by Two Guys Rim, Innovation, Alien Express, Eat Dirt, and then Evo Warlords, Dirt Time Chasers, R3R, Fleetwood Mac. That'll be your top 7. So that was the situation, I believe, in there. I have a feeling that a couple of the teams that showed up need to be removed from the results because they just went early. You gotta read the rules, and you gotta go on your time, because if you don't go on your right time, then get removed from the results. I mean, there's a reality of the way the TTT runs. So David Williams saying 2 laps UCI, I demand a refund. It's going to be tough there, David. Good to see David hanging out in the chat. Long time, Zwifter. Dave, good TTT today.
It was great. You know, I want to just dovetail onto what you were saying, Nathan, is I was never the best with this kind of stuff, dotting your I's and crossing your T's. It's amazing how big of a difference it makes, taking the responsibility of getting all that data in correctly and ending up in the right pen and understanding all that stuff. You'll be happy you took the 5 minutes to read the instructions this time. That's for sure. Right? You could probably put together that IKEA bunk bed without any instructions, but probably not going to do that with WTRL, I'd say.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd trust no instructions IKEA and let my kids jump on the bunk bed
either.
We're going to end up in the hospital with a broken arm. So no broken arms, everybody. Read the instructions. You want to check out some more of the WTRL throughout the day. There are more zones to come, and there's lots of streamers out there streaming it. Head on over to Twitch. Go into the game category, search Zwift. Head on over to YouTube, do a search, find it out on Facebook Gaming. Check it out, WTRL, TTT, search Zwift. Lots of people are streaming their Zwift experience. Go check that out. We're all about supporting people in the community as far as that goes as well, too. So I know for sure there's going to be at least 10, 15, 20 videos throughout the day from the 4,000 plus racers. There's a big percentage of them that are streaming their racer point of view. I'll be out there streaming tonight as well. I'll be on Facebook Gaming, hammering away for DDC Hayes, I'm going to try and take down Blur, the team that I'm subbing in for with DDC. It's been a lot of fun. You can do the WTRL Team Time Trial as well. Sign up for next week. Does close at 1 p.m. Central Time Wednesday next week. So make sure to get a team together and sign up before then. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back for the Premier League next week. Me and Dave will be on the TTT for that. That's the next time you'll see us. And then, obviously, all day long, ZRL next week, Tuesday, as well with the Zwift Racing League community. I'm Nathan Guerra, Dave Towle. We're Zwift Community Live. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. As always, right on.